Guten Abend. Ich bin total aufgeregt, weil ich heute nicht alleine bin. Deswegen habe ich auch ganz, ganz kurz nur den Intro gehabt. Wenn ihr jetzt später reinkommt und sagt, hey, da war gar kein Intro, doch, es war ganz kurz da. Und zwar habe ich einen Gast. Ihr sitzt natürlich im Titel und ihr habt es auch über Social Media gesehen, dass ich einen Gast habe. Und zwar ist Mark aus dem Angular-Team da. Und deswegen wird dieser Stream auf jeden Fall auf Englisch sein. Das heißt, ich teile direkt mal meinen Screen, wo er mit drauf ist, und dann kann er direkt mal einsteigen, weil wir hatten gerade uns schon fast irgendwie verloren in irgendwelchen Gesprächen und so weiter, schon angefangen zu chatten. Insofern ein sehr cooler Zeitgenosse und ich freue mich jetzt schon drauf. Okay, ich teile einmal. Please introduce yourself. Who are you?
Hey, everybody, my name is Mark. I work on the Angular team. You can find me online everywhere at Mark Texan, Techson. And yeah, I'm really happy to be here. Dave has been asking me to come on for a long time, and our schedules never matched. And finally, we're able to do it. So it's very, very good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm very excited about it that you are here. And I was very excited about to meet you last month in Berlin. I was okay. What kind of guy is Mark? So when I see you on social media, I see a very positive person, and I was wondering if this guy really like this, or is this just his alter ego on social media? So
That's right.
I didn't know. So this was something very I was very wondering about. Oh, by the way, thank you, Easy
But wait,
Pink.
you
Yeah.
didn't say, am I a positive person in real life? Is that true?
Oh yeah, you are. So your
Okay.
all your attitude is very positive. So and I was, oh wow, this guy is really positive. I love it. And yeah, it was great. It was great meeting you and having some chats and trying to beat Gemini with rocks.
Oh, with the rock, paper, scissors?
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Oh yeah, and yeah, thanks Easy Pink for your subscription. Easy Pink is one of the I guess is the longest subscribing person in my stream for 35 months in a row. Unbelievable.
That's
Unbelievable.
incredible. Incredible.
And Mona Code Lisa, hi, welcome to the chat. Okay, let's start with some question. So I hope you are not. Wait, let me just check for my this one. Okay, so this one. Um, um, First question: who is Mark? Who are you?
Hmm.
So you are on
Who
Angular team. Okay, what? Who
I
are you?
am. Yeah, let's talk about that. So I was born and raised here in the U.S. I grew up in Chicago, Illinois. So if you're trying to think about where that is in the U.S., I know the U.S. is huge. I'm right in the middle. They call it the Midwest, so it's right in the center of the U.S.
Okay.
where I grew up. And yeah, I'm a person that has a lot of different parts of my personality. I love playing music, so I've been playing guitar for a very long time. And off stream, Dave and we were talking about some of the instruments that we play, and
Yeah.
that's how you and I had actually connected before. So along with that, I also have, of course, a huge passion for technology and connecting with community. So, which is something that I've done, for most of my career. I spent a lot of time as a senior software engineer working on server side code. Then I transitioned to front end code, actually with Angular JS, long before I joined Google. And then later on, I did things like teaching, where I taught at universities, so two universities here in the U.S., and I has an amazing experience doing that. I've done things like gone from making video games. I've I've tried my hand at startups. So I've had a pretty diverse career in terms of just experiences, and it's been really fantastic. And I'm also a family man. I'm married for almost 13 years,
Okay.
and I have a son who will be 7 years old next month.
Okay. So what age? How old are you?
Mm.
I hope this
That's a
is
good
okay to
question. Sorry.
ask.
You caught me off guard. No, because I had to decide if I was going to answer because online people don't know how old I am, and they either think that I'm really young or really old. So I guess it's kind of hard to tell. I'll say this: I'm older than 42 and less than 45.
Oh, maybe we are the same age.
Maybe.
So I'm turning. Oh, I have to check. I'm turning 44 this year. So
Oh wow! When is your birthday?
on 27th of November.
Of November. Wow. Okay, so you got like a holiday. So in the U.S., that's usually a U.S. holiday called Thanksgiving.
Oh yeah.
We have a big feast, and next time I'll do it in your honor because
Okay.
my friend Dave is turning 44. This feast is dedicated to Dave as well. That's pretty great.
Fun. So how do you get into tech? So you said that you are a tech affine guy, that you always have doing tech. But how did you get into tech in the first place?
Oh, sure. When I was a kid, a small kid, like many who grew up in the 80s, I loved the Nintendo and I loved the Sega Genesis, what they called it in the US. I guess they called it something different depending on where you were. Also called the Sega Master System, I suppose. But I guess that's in Japan. Anyway, uh, I loved video games as a kid. And so I was really interested in making video games even as a child because I had all these ideas of what I thought could be a cool video game. So that's what led me into trying to understand how to do programming. And
Hmm.
then later on, around grade 9, I took my first programming class,
Okay.
and then I studied programming in high school, and then all the way in university, and even throughout. I have a master's in computer science, so I even studied in graduate school as well.
Okay. So Stefan at Dev just said it's called Sega Megadrive in Europe.
Oh, Mega Drive, that's right, the Mega Drive. I knew it was called something different, depending on where you were in the world. So yeah, so Mega Drive. I was a huge fan of the Mega Drive
Okay.
as a kid, and also the Nintendo and Super Nintendo. So yeah.
Okay. Did you ever program some music stuff?
Never got into music programming. I didn't start playing music until I was like much older.
Okay.
I started playing music in my 20s after right around the end of my university time because I had a dream that I was walking through like the country Mexico. I was walking through Mexico in the mountains with a guitar on my shoulders. And
Oh,
then I decided that when I woke up, I said, "Oh, I think I want to play guitar." And then I just went and bought a very cheap Gibson Epiphone guitar or
okay.
Epiphany, depending on who you ask, right? And I bought that guitar and I just started playing and taught myself how to play, and I've been playing ever since.
Okay. So the fun fact is that you started programming in the age of what was it, 16, round about this, right?
I'm around 14, 15.
Okay, 14, 15, and you start doing music in the age in your 20s. Fun fact: I'm just the opposite.
Oh, interesting.
I'm a very late starter into IT and into tech. I started playing guitar when I was I guess 12, and
Hmm.
then I started doing programming when I was 21, like this. So I'm very late to the game, but I'm here.
Interesting. But you've been very successful, which is great.
Yeah, passion,
Yeah.
and my ADHD, which triggers me when I see something I need to change, and then I start it and I try to find a way to get around of these issues. That's
Sure,
it.
I totally get that. Yeah, no, programming is one of those things that, there's one point that I thought that I actually did not want to be a programmer. And I was doing it for a while. And I think it was just the things that I was working on were not interesting to me. And I said, maybe I want to do something else. Maybe I want to be like a fitness professional, like a personal trainer
Okay.
or something like this. And I really considered uh, quitting computer science and just saying, okay, I want to get a personal trainer license because I was really into working out and fitness at that time in my life. And so I thought, yeah, I just want to do that. And I almost did it. Like I almost just like kind of quit and then went a different path. I'm glad I didn't though, because I have refound my passion for programming later. A few years later, I stuck through this kind of like dry period of wanting to like leave, and then I got better, and it
Mm,
was like, oh yeah, okay, I recovered, and then I continued on.
okay. So Mona just said she played guitar too, but she never got good. So, a guitar is not about being good. It's about feeling and having fun.
Yeah. If
Good.
you can have fun, I think that's really important. For me, that's all. So it's become like a way to express myself too,
Mm,
because I can't. So, for example, I can't sing. Like, I do not have a singing voice, right? I can sing like physically,
mm,
but the sound is not good. Okay, that's the thing. The sound is not good at all. It's not pleasing. But guitar kind of gave me an outlet to be able to express myself musically,
okay.
and I love it for that. Yeah, I don't think I'll ever be a professional guitar player. I won't say never, because I don't believe that we should limit ourselves and what we can do, but I don't have that in the plans right now to become a professional guitar player. Right now, I just really like playing for myself.
Yeah, there was one point in my life where I decided I don't want to get a professional guitar player. I started playing guitar in the first place and switched to bass. I guess 20 years ago, and I decided to not want to go into professional guitar player because for me, I want I want to play guitar because I want to and not because I have to. And
Mhm.
so this
Mhm.
was something which is very important for me to, okay, I want to have this passion for this and I want to love the passion and don't start hating it because I have to. And yeah, maybe it's also just a thing of because I wasn't that good enough. Maybe I'm not sure, but
No, I don't
yeah,
think that's it. So I'll say, so you and I are very similar as turning out in quite a few ways.
yeah,
The way that I approach another hobby of mine, which is videography and photography,
mm,
I actually turn down any paid engagements because I don't want it to be my job.
mm,
I want to just enjoy it because I want to, not because I have to. So what I usually do is I'll take my camera with me to events or to parties, even
mm,
conferences sometimes, depending on how far the conference is away from home. But I'll just take my camera just for the desire to take pictures of people because I like it. I just like to see, like, so let's say that you were on stage.
mm,
Maybe I'll take a bunch of photos of you, and then I'll just send them to you afterwards as a gift. But if you were to say, Mark, I want to pay you to take photos of me, then there's too much pressure and it takes the passion out of it for me, where I don't feel like I want to do that. Then I won't have a good time.
yeah, totally can feel this. Yeah. So when I just I this year I joined a new band, which the band is there for 15 years, called Praiser. It's punk, and they asked me if I want to join as a bass player, and I said yeah, sure, because we know each other for I guess 20 years. So it was more or less very obvious step to go, and but I said, hey, but I don't want to go for gigs. I want to
Hmm.
just enjoy and have fun. Fun fact: next week we will be on a festival and we're playing. so,
Take
but
lots of videos so I can see you in action.
it was a decision made by all of us, and I was okay. I'm fine with it. So it's very fun how it turned around. It turned this way that I said, okay, I don't want to, and now I will. It's
And now
fun.
you're going to be on that stage rocking out. No, that's going to be great, Dave. That's going to be great.
You said that your approach to learn new things is very special, very that we almost have the same, maybe the same approach. How do you get into new stuff? Like when someone asks you, "Hey, can you have a look into, for example, knitting?" Here, how is it called? Knitting. Like where you nick pullovers and socks and this stuff.
Oh, knitting.
Yeah,
Yes.
just
Hmm.
just I hope you are not able to do this. So just want to pick a topic
Yeah.
which maybe is not something you already can. So if someone asks you to learn it, and
Hmm.
how would you go to?
Oh, sure. No, this is great. This is great. This is a great question. So knitting, I do not know how to knit. And so If I were to start to learn right now, I would probably watch a couple of videos to get a feel for like what does it mean? Like what does it look like? And then after I get some videos, I would just go out and buy the cheapest knitting set that I could and just start. And I would throw the fear of making a mistake out the window. You know why? Because I don't know how to knit at all right now. I can't make anything right now, so I can't be any worse. And I use that same attitude toward most things that I learn how to do, which is I do a little bit of an overview just so I can understand the intent. And then I say, let me just try. You
Mhm.
just have to try it because if you spend all your time over preparing for it, then you don't spend any time doing. And I think that most of your learning is going to come by doing. And then you can go back and refine by doing more research. Same thing with like taking photos. I did not know how to take photos professionally or like high quality photos. So then I looked online at some examples of what people do. Like, okay, how do you turn on the camera? How do you like
Mhm.
what does this button do? Okay. Now the next thing you do is you go out and you just take pictures and you keep taking photos until you get better. So yesterday, we were out at a Renaissance fair,
Mhm.
which is very cool. I love like cool stuff that some people say, "Oh, that's very nerdy." No, I love that type of stuff. And I took my camera because I take it with me a lot of places because I'm always trying to practice. And I couldn't figure out, how do you change one of the settings when you're in manual mode? Because at first I shoot with automatic mode to just get the practice. Then
Mhm.
after you practice, you take a couple of hundred, a couple of thousand photos, which I have. Then I'm like, okay, how do I go to manual mode? And I could not figure out what to do. And I was just pressing buttons and trying and trying and trying. And I finally figured out how to quickly adjust the exposure in a photo. But I would not have gotten there if I spent all this time like, thinking and overthinking. I was just like, no, just keep practicing, keep going, keep trying to take photos and get better and better. So yeah,
Mhm.
that's how I try to. That's my approach to learning something new. Same thing with programming. Same thing with guitar. Like I looked at like what kind of guitar to buy, like a beginner guitar, and then I looked at a song, a very simple song. So, okay, that's enough looking. Let me just try
Mhm.
and then put the effort in and the consistency over time.
No, there's a I'm not sure if this is a real I think it is a German way how we how many German people start to approach things. They overthink it and they okay, we start doing it when we are perfect in it. Or perfect at it. And then wait, this is not the way it works. So
That's right. That's
so
right.
I learned about myself that I'm not very German in this case. So I I just like you said, I just try. So this is what I do mostly in this stream. When someone asks, "Hey, have you ever worked with this?" No, but let's try now, live on stream. And then yeah, of course, we have a lot of a situation where everything went worse, but at the end we have some results, and sometimes the results are yay, sometimes they are but
That's right. That's right.
that's life, yeah. Okay.
No, that's totally right. Sometimes the results are, like, all right, I didn't do so great. So I can tell you, some photos that I've taken, they are bad.
Yeah.
Like, and I can't go back and retake them because they were in the moment, right? And so here's a really specific example for our friends at home who are thinking, because you can apply all of this to your programming skills and all your technology skills. It's all applicable because it's a mindset and not a physical thing. It's just how your mind has to change. I went to my wife's cousin's 50th birthday party
Okay.
and I brought my camera to be, to take nice photos for people just for fun. I did not understand that there's with the exposure settings, there's this one setting called the f stop, right? Which goes from like, let's say 2.8 all the way to like 22.
Hmm.
If you're at 2.8, that's how you get those nice blurry background,
Yeah.
sharp person. So if you're taking a group photo, you actually don't want to have it all the way blurry in the background. But I didn't know this
Hmm.
because you really want it to be sharp. So there are photos where people are not, if they're completely like parallel to each other, it's fine. But if somebody is slightly behind, the person behind is considered the background. So I have a bunch of photos where this person is sharp in the front and the other people in the photo are out of focus, right? And it's like nothing I can do about that. But then I learned that lesson. You see, like I learned that lesson, and now when I take group photos, it's like, okay, I either tell them to stand next to each other, or now I learned how to change the aperture, the f-stop, so
Mm-hmm.
that way it can be sharper. But you don't know any of this stuff.
Yeah.
If you wait until you know it mentally perfect up here before you start, you you'll never get outside. Like you'll never get into the thing. So yeah, spend a little time to get your like direction, like a compass of where to go. Spend the rest of the time walking that path.
Stefan at Dev said you could say it's a background character.
Well, they are. I mean, whether they agreed or not, it doesn't matter now.
Yeah, this the German word for this setting is Tiefenschärfe. So the how you focus the deep that you only have a flat range which is sharp or a wide range. So yeah, for this nice blurry reason. Now there are digital filters you can blur out the background.
Hmm.
Back in the days we did this just with the focus with the
That's right.
yeah, nice.
But see, I'll just say I don't want to keep us only talking about photography, but I'll just say that as a person, I'm learning my style of photography, and I actually do not prefer the digital background. I like the natural bokeh that you get from taking the right picture at the time.
Okay. So you
But enough about cameras. We got
okay.
to talk all
But
about
one
cameras.
one thing. What kind of camera do you have?
Oh, great question. I have a few cameras now. My wife is not necessarily happy about that because I keep buying cameras. But my primary camera for photography is a Sony A7 R3. So a
Okay.
little bit older camera. I bought it used because remember I was telling you like don't go. I don't buy the fanciest thing first. So I bought a used camera that's almost like 8 years old, but has a good picture. So I bought that camera, and then for my cinematography, for like the videos I make, I actually use a Sony FX3.
Okay.
And that camera I got because I had actually reached the limits of what I could do with the Sony A6000
Okay.
because it kept overheating as I was filming longer content. I didn't care that it wasn't in 4K, but it was like overheating. It had limited like format options and then the storage options. There were just a lot of little problems that I was like, okay, I actually need a different camera for the way that I make, or the way that I create content. But before that, I used a Sony A6000 for years of just like, yep, I would put a fan next to it.
Yeah.
So that way I could keep it cool while I filmed a 10-minute video.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah. The problem is that the passive cooling of the CCD chip is a problem. So, but you
yep.
can't put in a. I'm before I started programming, I was a technician into video and audio stuff. So
Really?
so I learned stuff about this. I repaired a lot of cameras when I was about 20. So a long time
That's
ago.
amazing. I did not
A
know that about you.
long time ago.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
you
fun
so
fact.
then you know exactly what I'm talking about. You totally get all of this
Yeah,
stuff. Awesome.
definitely. Okay. Um, uh, how do you so you started I guess 1 or 2 years ago, I'm not sure how long ago, you joined Google. No, 2 or 3 or
4.
4 years ago. Oh,
4.
time is
I
flying.
just made 4 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
um how do you get into touch with Google? They come to you, or did you just send an application?
Like, hey, I'm Mark. Everybody come hire me. No, my Google story is actually very interesting. Google had reached out to me a couple of times in the past,
Okay.
and they were recruiting, and I kept saying no because I didn't want to study. I'll be
Hmm.
completely transparent. I didn't want to study because I felt like this. I already finished university. I don't want to go back and study again. I
Okay.
had a job that was fine, right? I was working, I think at the time, maybe at American Express in their fraud department as an engineer. And so I
Okay.
was fine. I'm like, I already have a decent job and make a comfortable living. And so what ended up happening was this right around 2016, I had this idea for a fitness app. And then I said, okay, I'm going to make it. But I said, you know what? What would be really cool is if I can get Google to promote my app because you know how sometimes we will do showcases.
Hmm.
So let's say that you make something really cool with Google Cloud Platform. Then at like Google I/O, they'll do a customer showcase.
Mhm.
So I wanted that. I wanted them to showcase my app to other people. So I said, in order to get Google to do that, I have to use Google technology. So then I built my app using Flutter, Firebase, and one other Google technology I can't think of right now. But I definitely use Flutter and Firebase,
Okay.
and then and Angular Web. Sorry, Angular Dart, of course, Angular Web, but
Okay.
I used Angular Dart for a web version. And so Flutter was a nascent technology at that time. It was very new. So was
Mhm.
Angular 2 at the time, actually. Um, but Flutter was very new. So I figured out, like, if I start using Flutter now and start being very public with my use of Flutter, maybe that'll get Google's attention. And so that actually happened, where I got Google's attention through just tweeting about Flutter use when it was still in the pre-alpha phase.
Mhm.
Then they started featuring me in different videos. They started featuring me in their keynotes, like videos of me using Flutter, which is exactly what I wanted. And then, and which is really funny. If you go to flutter.dev right now, I'm on the homepage still. Um, After all these years, I'm still on the homepage. Um, and so anyway, that opportunity working with Flutter led to an invitation to Google I/O.
Okay.
And at Google I/O, I met some of the Flutter engineers. And then one guy called his name is Bob. He goes by Munificent Bob on Twitter. He was like, "Hey, if you try, I think you could do it." And I was like, "Yeah, don't waste my time. I know it's notoriously hard to get to Google. Like, I don't want to don't you don't have to make me feel good about myself by just saying you can do it. Like, don't say it if you don't mean it."
Mhm.
He's like, "No, I think you have what it takes. You should try." And so what ends up happening is, one of my good friends, who was a fellow university instructor, had got a call from Google for a Flutter role. And because of my experience with Flutter, he said, "Hey, why don't you talk to this guy Mark?" And then that's how I started the interview process.
Okay. Interesting.
So I know, a really long story, but
But a very fun
that's
story. Yeah.
how it all worked out. And then, because I knew people there, it didn't help me get in or anything. It was just that I had some like referrals that I could use of people who had already known me from the community.
Mhm.
That helped. And then I didn't even get on the Flutter team.
Okay.
I ended up on the Angular team, actually, when I joined Google, and that's how I got on the Angular team.
Okay. How do you feel about Dart and the I'm not sure if there's a very niche popularity of Dart, I guess, in the developer world, because it's only, I said only,
Hmm.
in I guess Flutter and Dart. Um, how do you feel about Dart and TypeScript? Is it similar, or is are there things you think you miss still when you're using TypeScript?
Good question. So I like to think of Dart as a nicer, like more polite TypeScript. I feel like
Okay.
TypeScript is very strict and rigid, and then Dart is like optional typing for the most part. At
Hmm.
least it was when I was using it, where you did not have to specify your types, but you could,
Okay.
right? Like, it's like dynamically typed, like so you can have some dynamic types, and then I know there's been a push recently to go more static typing, right? But you could provide types. So that's why I said it was like a friendlier TypeScript,
Okay.
because you could still take advantage of like the JavaScript kind of like dynamic typing or like duck typing style. But then if you wanted to be very, strictly typed, you could be.
Okay.
And so I like that. It had a lot of nice convenience features. So one of the things that I love that's very similar to Python is that you could do like named parameters.
Okay.
So when you have a large parameter list, you can just know which each thing is without having to like look at the documentation. You can just see like, oh, this is the height, this is the width, this is the length, this is the radius, etc. Like, you have all these nice features. They have a lot of features that I wish other languages could take advantage of. For examples, you can do things like use a constructor without typing new,
Hmm.
right? But because of the language semantics, it knows that, oh, this person means to instantiate a new object with this constructor. Okay, we can fill that in. It had some like nice other like utility features around how you could spread, like almost like the spread operator,
Mhm.
but you could spread more than just like primitives. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like it had a lot of really nice features. Um, Flutter is another really cool. So Dart and Flutter, I think, are fantastic tools. If you're going to make a mobile app today and you haven't picked anything yet, I don't know. It's hard to say that to not choose Flutter. I mean, Flutter is very good at this, right? Like what Flutter offers is just very, very good, very, very beautiful, like UI, very, very good developer experience. I think a lot of tools can learn a lot from what Flutter
Mhm.
does.
So when I did Flutter on stream, I
Hmm.
installed Dart on stream and used it, and then I did my very first application with Flutter.
Hmm.
And in the second hour of using Flutter, I connected it to a Google table and
Hmm.
wrote stuff to it and read stuff from the table. I guess something like this was. And what I really love about Flutter was the dev tools at Visual Studio Code. Unbelievable. They were awesome because of all the power you get when you just use the dev tools and they, hey, wait, you need this, okay, I can help you by this side. And yeah, it was a very a nice experience on this side,
I
definitely.
would say their hot reload is something that so we have HMR and right now it's a little limited, right? What
Mm,
we can do with HMR and Angular. But I will always bring up that we have to find a way to get closer to what Flutter does.
okay.
Like I don't know what the solution is. This is a hard problem, mind you, because of the way the web works versus something like, an app is,
Mm,
a mobile app is a little different architecture. However, if we could figure out like HMR the way Flutter does hot reload, because for friends at home who haven't seen this, you could be 10 screens deep into your app and make a style change. All your state is maintained, all your navigation is maintained, and your style updates or your business logic updates, and that speeds up your workflow so much because right
mm,
now what we have to do as developers on like web apps to get this, you got to like code in a shortcut to jump back to that page, right? If you want to, or else you have to click every single time. You're not going to want to do that. So like I know what I used to always do is, well, like I would like code a shortcut into the screen so I could quickly get there,
mm.
but then you got to be careful that you don't accidentally check that in and commit it and like make a mistake. But getting to that level of like HMR with Angular would be fantastic if we can get there at some point,
Okay.
because I think that that's a superpower for Flutter because you're so productive with how quickly you can iterate.
Okay, so my approach was always, or is always, in these cases, I write end-to-end tests for this, that I
Sure.
reach to my view. So every time I change the code, then my end-to-end testing is running, and then I can, so it's more or less the same, but there's no danger of checking in my shortcut for this. Yeah.
Right. Right. And plus, you're smart. So, of course, you do the right thing. Of course, I'm telling everybody on the stream to do the wrong thing. Like, yeah, code in the shortcut. But an end to end test is definitely a better solution, but it's slower.
Yeah,
If I'm going to be honest
definitely,
with you,
definitely.
it's slower than like the hot reload that Flutter offers, where you can just quickly like
Yeah.
change stuff like on save, screen colors changing. But of course, you should definitely write your unit test and end to end test to make sure that you're not breaking things.
Okay, then let's move slowly
Yeah,
into
sure.
into dev. What is your favorite feature on TypeScript then? Is there
Good
any?
question. I don't know if I have a favorite feature
Okay.
just because I feel like TypeScript is good, but it's tough. Okay, so I'll say the type. So generics are very good
Oh yeah.
because I come from a Java background.
Yeah.
And I spent a long time using Java, and I read the most famous Java book of all time, which is Effective Java by Joshua Block. I read this book and I used to study it. I mean, which is so funny how the world is so different. Back when I first started my career, I had a physical copy of this book in my book bag. On my commute to work, I would read it every day, and that's just how you got promoted because you knew who knew the most about Java.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you just had to know. And so now that is different. Anyway, so getting some of that back with TypeScript and front end languages was definitely a pleasure of
Mhm.
getting some of the generics back. I think though that where TypeScript has done some magic is just some of the magic of like type narrowing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's something that's just like really special. I mean, it's painful when you're writing code and then you have all these like type errors and your IDE is telling you that, well, this thing may be undefined if you
Mm,
don't make this change. But the fact that you could write an if statement and the TypeScript compiler can take that and say, "Oh, we can
mm,
narrow down the
mm,
possible type here, so you don't have to cast." I mean, that's fantastic feature,
yeah.
right? Like, so
Very
things
true.
like that, I think, are really good. But TypeScript's it's gotten so advanced now that I feel like people have to go back and like learn even more just to like be able to do it, which has its pros and cons.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. I would definitely agree. On the Angular team,
Hmm.
what is your role specifically? Are you the face to, or are you the link to the community, or are you still developing and coding at the core?
Good question. Love this question. I get this a lot. So Emma and I, and Minko gets it to some degree,
Mm,
but he's like kind of like product level now, like engineering is still product. Emma and I are what's called developer relation engineers, which at Google it's a little bit different than what you'll get at different companies because every company has a different definition
mm,
of this role. For us, our job looks like this. Like I can tell you what I did last week. I spent probably 10 to 15 hours coding
okay.
some new features. Then I spent another 10 hours writing blogs,
Okay.
another 5 hours writing emails,
Hmm.
another, like 10 hours like researching or like collaborating and going into meetings. So, like, our job is so vast and what our responsibilities cover. And so, for me, because of the work that I do, like, for example, I lead our YouTube effort. So, that's why you see me in so many videos.
Hmm.
I spend a lot of time just writing and like designing like events and like things that we're going to do on Angular. So I usually design our release events.
Okay.
And that's been like a really interesting challenge because if you look at developer events right now, like virtual developer events, they all look different. You have like the big announcement style, like
Hmm.
Google I/O, or then you have like smaller ones like Bun IO. They did theirs, which or Bun JS, sorry. They had a nice little announcement video. So I'm always thinking, what can we do to serve the Angular community
Hmm.
but also be interesting to people who don't know about Angular yet, or maybe have the wrong idea about Angular.
Okay.
So that's a problem that I'm working on. But I'm also working on our AI story. What is going to be our complete AI story for Angular? And that's something that I'm like spending some time with and thinking and learning from. So you see, so there's just like quite a bit of range to my job.
Hmm. Okay. So did you of course you did, I guess. Did you worked a lot with the Gemini Nano?
Oh, good question. So I've been working primarily for this first phase. I've been working a lot with Pro and Flash,
Okay.
Gemini Pro and Flash, just to really understand what our capabilities are here at Google
Hmm.
and what's possible for things like code generation and other aspects. I think it's really really interesting what we can accomplish.
Yeah.
But then I have some new ideas that I was just in a meeting with Minko Getchev today, and we talked about some new ideas about how we can take this project even further. And
Hmm.
so I'm really excited. I wish I could tell you. I can't tell you just yet what I'm going to do, but there'll be some announcements very soon. Well, very soon is relative.
Okay.
There'll be some announcements soon about just what's going to happen.
So last week, on last Monday, I was coding on my. I started in stream or on stream. I started playing around with Gemini
Hmm.
Nano with Chrome, and then last week we built the app which recognized the voice, sent the text to Gemini Nano, and repeat. The answer was then written by the browser, so we had conversation with our browser. This was very fun.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I mean, so the AI thing stuff, all the AI stuff right now, it's so interesting, and I understand people's concerns. I understand people's
Hmm.
excitement, right? And I think that we should, as developers, just be exploring. That's what we should do
Hmm.
versus like saying like, oh, don't do it or do it, or they're going to replace us, they're not going to replace us. I don't think the replacement story is really interesting right now to me. I think what's most interesting is the enhancement story. How
Mm-hmm.
can we use AI to enhance our applications, to enhance our workflow? But first, focus on enhance the applications. Think about all the hard things that are just really hard to program
Mm-hmm.
that you might be able to use an LLM to solve for. That's what I like to think about. It's like, what problems can we take that are beyond human scale, and then we can get an LLM to help us support,
Mm-hmm.
versus saying, well, what's the answer, so that way we can replace all programmers. I think that's not really the answer, because I'm gonna tell you something. Even if you had your LLM generate all your code for you, you have to know if it's right or wrong.
Yeah.
Like what if there's an error? Or what if there's something that just doesn't make sense? Or you need to augment the things. Like, everyone's showing all these like one-off examples. That's what people show so much, is a one-off. Like, okay, I generated a website with any LLM. We'll just say any LLM you could think of, right? I generated a website. Wow, I did this in 15 minutes. Yeah, okay. So if you were to deploy that, how do you maintain that application?
Mm-hmm.
What does maintenance look like over time? How do you add new features?
Yeah.
Right? You still need developers. How do you repair bugs? You see what I'm saying? So you being an engineer, I think your skill set is still valuable. And I would focus on that, like as an engineer, versus focusing on the story of like, oh, we're gonna get replaced, or oh, it's almost over. You know what I mean? I don't think that's as interesting to me.
Mm-hmm. So, what kind of danger points do you see when you think about AI? Are there any points you think, oh, this could be dangerous, not for my job, but for
Yeah.
society, for mankind, like this? Do we, at some point, do we end up like Terminator style and fighting against machines?
Sure, sure. So I can just speak in general about AI, the thing that I'm thinking about, and this is just AI in general.
Mm-hmm.
I want us being like the world. I want the world to be very careful about AI technologies that help you to create convincing media.
Mm-hmm.
And I want us to be very careful about what, and keep safety at the forefront, because I think about how easy it has become to clone my voice
Yeah.
and to make it sound like I need help. Right? So that way you can like find my sister or find my brother and say, have a fake voice, say, I'm in help, wire 10,000, dollars to this place, right? You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
that's what I worry about right now, to be honest with you, is just like the number of tools out there that don't have any type of guidelines or guardrails
Mm-hmm.
that allow you to create video, images, and audio of other people in like desperate situation that can be used for fraud or for things like that. That's what I worry about. I don't think about the Terminator thing, because I don't know enough about AGI and what it'll take to get there. I just don't know enough. But I do think a lot about like, how can we protect each other from like misuse? And
Mm-hmm.
so that's what I think about.
So we try to prepare our kids for this kind of situations, and we have
Hmm.
one rule. If we have if we ask them where are they are not allowed to repeat by a voice message. It has to be a call, and we when they were smaller, we made or uh, defined some keywords
Yep. Yep.
so that if we ask you this, this must be your answer because this is the the I forgot the English word for this. This is the proof that it's
The
you
proof.
and
Yeah.
not. And this was way before AI. So my kids are my oldest son is 19 now, and
Wow.
so we are at a total different game. Though they are into this stuff, I guess, in using a lot. But
Yeah.
uh, back in the days when they are in the age of your kids or your son, this was really a topic to okay, how can we make sure that this and this and how can if someone comes to you and says hey I want you to come with me because your
Hmm.
parents said no we will never do like this we had some sentence we agreed on. This will be the sentence. If the person will not say this sentence like this, then it's not from us. So I guess maybe we will go back in this behavior to make sure that some kind of this will not happen.
Yeah, I already told all of my, so as I become more public and more known,
Mm,
as my audience grows, I just become more of a target. Like I already know that, right? That's just a part of like being on social media, being online. You become more of a target as you get more notoriety. I already told all of my like loved ones, like my close loved ones, my siblings and everything. I'm like, look, if I ever call and say I want you to do something or send money or rescue me, ask me this question, right? And it's a question that nobody could guess. It's
yeah.
not a thing that can be
Okay.
guessed. It's the same idea though, like you said. It's
Yeah.
like having that keyword or that key phrase that you cannot guess it. And so that'll just I mean, it's funny how some lo-fi things can be good protection. You know what I
Mm,
mean? Like that's very lo-fi, like
yeah.
a keyword, but you can't guess it, right? If you choose a good secure keyword, not like a favorite color, right? You can't be like, okay, so what's our favorite color? Well, that's more guessable because there's a
Yeah.
probability. But asking like something, I don't even want to give anybody any ideas on what to
No,
ask.
no,
So
please don't do.
yeah, so I won't say that, but having, like you said, I think you're right about that. And that's something that we're working with our kid on. And even online, like I don't even do things like share his name online.
Mm,
I don't share my wife's name online. And I just try to be very careful about what I expose because all of that, can be used against you at some point. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like you're like, yeah, oh Mark, I know your son, blah blah blah, and it's just nope. Everybody thinks his name is the heir, and that is like perfect,
Mm,
right? Like if they want to ask me about him, they can say, "How's the heir doing?" And I'm like, "He's doing great." But I just try to like and also keep photos of him like offline because right now he's too young to consent. he
yeah.
didn't he didn't get to choose that he'd have a dad who'd be more, have some popularity online. So that's not fair for him for me to just kind of choose everything
That's
for him.
that's a great
Mhm.
approach on this topic. Okay. There's a question from Monkey Jazz. He said, okay. What's your most favorite features from the last two major releases of Angular?
Sure. Easy, easy, easy. Deferrable views and then I think signals are two of my favorite features.
So,
Easily.
how excited are you looking on the prosper of the TC or TC 39 about signals being part of the JavaScript?
So here's what I think is super duper great about that. And it's not about making us famous or like more popular. It's about us fulfilling our vision
Mm-hmm.
and fulfilling our not commitment, but like we have some core values. One of those things is we want to, and we say this, we want to help move the web forward,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so being able to contribute to TC39 and the signals implementation, right? Like that helps move the web forward, which feels really good, I think, to us as a team because it's us giving back to the community and it's not even forcing anybody to use Angular. It's just this is a good idea. And we didn't come up with it, of course, and we
Mm-hmm.
acknowledge that. But this is a good idea, right? Signals are a good idea and they solve a good problem. It's one of the best ways we know right now, because it could change tomorrow. Somebody can come up with a different thing called, flows, and flows are better than signals. You just don't know. But right now, this is one of the like best ways to do reactive programming
Mm-hmm.
or synchronous reactive programming. Observables are one of the best ways to do asynchronous reactive programming. So now we'll have like, two ways to do reactive programming that'll serve developers. So for us, I think we're very proud to contribute and we're very happy about the way that's going.
Okay. Then because you came up with it, um, can you quickly explain what is a signal in two sentences?
Sure. A signal is a variable that knows where it's being used and it can send a message back to anyone who cares when the value updates.
Oh, nice, nice. And
Mhm.
when do you use so that this is a question I get every time in almost every workshop I do.
Hmm.
It's when do I use observable and when do I use signals?
Sure. Asynchronous versus synchronous. If your data stream, if your stream of events is unpredictable because it's asynchronous,
Hmm.
use an observable. An observable is great for something that you don't know when or if it's going to happen.
Okay.
For synchronous behavior, then use something like a signal because you know it's going to happen and it can, it's a thing that is not a finite number of events, but it's just like, hey, we're going to update the state. We're going to update this data. We want everyone to react to it.
Hmm.
Okay, great. But if you think about like a button click, a button click is actually a great observable because you don't know how many times or if at all a user will click a button. It's
Hmm.
unpredictable because it's asynchronous, right? It's just unpredictable.
Yeah.
Not the same. And one thing I'll say quickly is that people mistake when I say unpredictable as unstable. It's not the same thing.
No, no,
You just don't know when it's going to happen.
or
That's
if
why
at
it's
all.
asynchronous.
Yeah.
Or if at all, exactly. So it's unpredictable. I think observables are a great way for that.
Okay. Um, Great. I'm totally, I totally love the definition and the explanation of this, how you did it. You started your morning with Mark, I guess 2 years ago,
Hmm.
right? What
Hmm.
is this about?
Oh, so good morning with Mark. So this is yeah, this is something that I have always wanted to do, which is a series of, I say, inspirational and motivational content and it's really targeted toward the tech community,
Hmm.
just because I'm in the tech community and a lot of things that I talk about are things that I faced that
Hmm.
are either sponsored or not sponsored, but they're either inspired by my career or my life experience.
Okay.
So I like to share those things with people in a short bite-sized manner. So 60-second videos a few times a month. I like to put those out.
Okay. Yeah, I see them always in my timeline on Twitter, and I see, oh, Mark again. This is nice. This is when I first recognized you on social media. I heard about, oh, there's a new one. Emma and Mark are now here because I guess you came in when Steven, then Julia. Oh no, Jules then went,
Jules, yep.
and then you became the step in. So I recognized you on the GD emails. Okay, there's no one, someone new, Mark. Okay, let's see who is it. And I saw you in one of the monthly videos. The first, I guess, when you were introduced in this, it was then
Hmm.
okay, this Mark. Okay, just check. Noticed, and then I saw you on social media with your Good Morning with Mark, and I was, oh, interesting. Someone who is not the typical DevRel type of person, just to, hey, use this and this. I show you how to use it.
Hmm.
But okay, you can use it, and I also have some tips and tricks how you stay alive in this social media
Yeah.
or development world, because this is something which is very important to don't get burnt out, whatever. And yeah, this is. I want you to say. I want you to know that I love this format, and this
Oh,
I
thank you.
appreciate. This is a nice, a great format. Yeah.
Thank you so much. No, I love doing these videos. And, I used to put a lot of pressure on myself to make so many. And now I'm at the point where when I have something to say, I'll make a video.
Okay.
And I
This
won't
is
like
yeah.
push it so hard to just be like, okay, there's another week. Like I did 6 weeks in a row where I think I did 3 videos a week
Mhm.
for 6 weeks in a row. And which is, compared to other social media or content creators, that's actually not a lot. Some people
Yeah.
post multiple times a day. But for me, it's a lot, to write and produce, 18 videos over 6 weeks. And is that the same? Is that the right number? Three times? No, it's more than that, right? No, it's 18. Okay. I can't
Three
count sometimes. Yeah.
three
Three
times
times six is
six. Yeah,
18.
it's 18.
Yeah, it's 18. But, so that's almost 20 videos over 6 weeks. And, you know, I just didn't want to stress myself. So then I took the pressure from and I'll probably talk about this, you see, because it's like my real life experience.
Mhm.
So I'll probably make a video in the future that says, like, don't pressure yourself to meet the expectations of others, right?
Ah.
Does it really matter if it's 5 really good videos or 18 mediocre videos?
Mhm.
Which one is more important to you? Right. And then and the answer to that is not obvious, because if you're just getting started, I would say I want you to make as many videos as you can to get the practice, right? So you can just make sure you're doing it. But then I would say, but don't do it at the sake of like diluting your voice, because I want the Good Morning with Mark to mean something to people.
Mhm.
And if I just rush them just to say I did it, that's not that's a
It's not the
diminishing
same,
return.
no.
Yeah, it's not the same. So now I'm like slowing down, and I'll pick back up, but we had a lot of work. I was at Render ATL in the US.
Mhm.
Then right after that, I was in Berlin. I was at Google I/O in California. So it was really challenging to keep putting out so much volume when I'm doing international travel,
Mhm.
right? And my family is more important than my ambition. So my career is important to me, but guess what could happen? I could, not work at Google tomorrow, right? And then if I've damaged my relationship with my family for this, success,
Mhm.
then it won't be worth it. It'll be worth nothing,
No,
right?
it's not.
So just,
Yeah, there's
my opinion. That's my opinion, friends. I know somebody's like, it's worth everything. And hey,
no.
you decide that for yourself. I'm telling you what I think.
Yeah. Okay. So um if you meet a junior, very junior developer, and you can give
Hmm.
them one advice, um, which would it be?
Yeah, I'm thinking about it.
Yeah.
Good question. Very junior developer. I'll say if it's career advice, I would say my advice is to learn how to manage your career.
Okay.
That's critical. And what I mean by that is like, if you're going to wait for your manager to manage your career, that's a mistake. Your manager there is just there to like make sure your work gets done and you're doing the right work. You are responsible for like, your promotions. You're responsible for making sure that you're growing. You're responsible for so many aspects of your career. And you can't depend on other people for that. You have to be in charge
Okay.
of your career. And so that's what I would say for career wise. Then I would say if I had to give a piece of advice just for life, I would say make sure you're doing the things that matter with the people that matter
Hmm.
while it still matters.
Oh.
Because at the end of your time, you just, man, listen, I was so ambitious, Dave, in the beginning that I wouldn't like spend time with my like family sometimes. Not when I was married, but like this is before when I was young.
Hmm.
I would just work. My dad would always call me and be like, "Hey, do you got time for this?" I'm like, "No, Dad, I don't have time. I don't have time." My siblings would call like, "Hey, I don't have time. I don't have time." And then, this isn't to make people sad, but my dad ended up dying when I was 30.
Okay.
And there isn't anything I wouldn't give to go back to those early phone calls and say, "Yes, I can make time."
Hmm.
You see, so that's why I say do what matters. Like, make sure you're doing the important stuff.
Hmm.
Like, work is important to a certain degree,
Yeah.
but make sure you're doing what matters and you do it with the people who matter. And it doesn't have to be a parent. Maybe you don't have a good relationship with your parent, but you have friends that you really love, like family.
Hmm.
Then you spend time with those people and you make sure you show up. And when I say while it matters, is because you just don't know how much time you have.
Oh yeah.
There's nothing you can do to control how many times you get to wake up.
Hmm.
You can do your best to eat healthy, to work out, to go on walks, to be a vegan. You can do everything you want, but you still, at the end of the day, you cannot add more time.
Hmm.
Like we all have a number. We all have a number. Some of us are gonna like my wife's grandmother lived to be 102,
Okay.
so she had a lot of time.
Hmm.
My own mother only lived to be 38. She
Okay.
did not get a lot of time. You see? And so that's like almost a 70-year difference in the number of years
Hmm.
that this woman got to live versus my mother. So that's why I say make sure you're doing what matters with who matters while it still matters.
Oh, this is a great advice, and this would okay. This could would also. So my next question
Hmm.
is or would have been or is what would you say to a senior developer? But this time let's focus on the career
Sure.
side, because the life side you just answered, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
I guess it should be the same as you said to the Judah. What advice or what expectation would you give or send in front towards of an very experienced developer? What do you expect them how to behave in a team
Mm-hmm.
or with others?
So good. So for a senior developer, I would want to remind them that don't forget the power you have as a team.
Mm,
Senior developers are notorious for being very talented and they think I can just do it myself.
mhm,
I can just do it myself. I'll do it. It's fine. It's fine. I'll take all of this work on, which is great. You get to show all your coding muscles and skills, and everybody cheers you on. But guess what? You got, 10% work done. If you were to leverage your team and build up the people around you, you can get 50% more work done.
mhm.
You see, so think about what you could do if you could leverage your team. That's what my expectations are of senior people is to leverage their team, is to help build up their team. So if you have junior developers on your team, I expect you to mentor
Mhm.
or at
Oh yeah.
least provide guidance. Like if you're not like a good mentor, because some people are not a good mentor, right? Like they don't know how to do it. If that is you, then you need to learn how to communicate
Mhm,
and effectively lead. You still have to, right? And that's my expectation of you because if I'm your, let's say I'm the manager or the director of engineering, at the organization, like I'm going to be looking to my senior leaders, my senior developers. I want to look at them for technical direction, like where should we go? Because you're closest to the code base, you're
mhm.
closer than I am. I'm thinking about where we're going to go, big picture, but I need you to help me understand logistics wise where we're going to go. But I also need you to be helping grow our junior developers
Yeah.
because I want the junior developers to be senior developers someday. But and because you're so good, we promoted you to senior probably. So we know that you understand the organizational rules. So I want you to further pass those rules and learnings and guidance onto our mid-level and our juniors. And I want you to keep creating. I want you to learn how to delegate. You see, so I have a lot of expectations of seniors because I think if they could learn how to work together, there's just there's no ceiling, right? We can just go as far as we can dream.
Oh, nice. I sent kisses throughout the camera. So I was hoping for some kind of this answer. This was
Yeah, good.
I was hoping that because I'm always the person who says, okay, if you are a senior, then it is your responsibility to help everybody else who is not on your level to reach your level. And
That's right.
so I was really hard hoping for an answer like this. So I'm really happy with this. I'm really happy with this. Okay. So we talked about a lot of stuff. Um, where do you where if you can if you have a wish free, where did you want to be yourself in 10 years in your private life?
Oh,
Not professional life, private life.
yeah, 10 years later, my son will be 17. I mean, hopefully my marriage is strong and we're happy. Hopefully my son is like a good person.
Hmm.
He doesn't have to be perfect, just be a good person. That's what I really hope for. That makes me a little emotional to think about like, you know, what my hopes are for him. How I want him to grow up. I want him to be a good person,
Yeah.
and I want him to be kind and thoughtful, and I want him to be the type of person that like helps other people. That looks to say, "How can I help?"
Hmm.
Um, so I hope that I've done my best to raise him in 10 years, um, and I hope that I'm like able to do whatever I want, meaning like financially, like that our like life is, comfortable and we're not, struggling,
Hmm.
and that we're able to just do whatever we want. Like meaning like we could travel. If we can just be like, oh, you know what? Let's just go to Berlin for the week, and you know what I mean. We just do it like that. That's honestly like a dream life of like being able to be completely free in that way.
Hmm. That's a
Yeah,
great answer.
I hope that I'm really good at guitar. That's a lighter story, but I hope that my guitar playing is even better than it is now, and that I'm able to like really like have that creative space where I'm still playing guitar and I'm still like bringing joy to people.
Okay. This is a great answer. So I hope that if whenever you next time will visit Berlin, that you give me a message or a call that
Yes.
we meet there. And my wish for in 10 years is
Hmm.
that we will at least have one time the ability to the possibility to play music or to make music together, because I from our very short chat on in Berlin when we are
Hmm.
at the IO Extended, I thought, okay, this is very positive. So he is like I had the feeling, and I saw him on social media, but now after this hour of chat, I think, yeah, he is a very nice person, and I would really love to have him uh, in a room and do some stuff, talk about, make music, and because music is for me something, as you said, to express yourself, and is for me it is something to connect with people, because music is the universal language we have in world
Hmm.
next to sports, and
That's
so
right. That's right.
so we this is something I would love to have in 10 years when my son is 29.
Wow, isn't that hard to think about? Shit, when you said 10 years, I'm like, man, my son will be 17. I'm like, oh, he'll be like, you know,
So
getting ready for university. Oh,
my my
scary.
second son, I have three boys. My second son
Mhm.
is now 17. He's turning 18 in September, and my youngest son is turning 13 in November. So he's the smallest one. But all of them will be, I hope, will moved out and to
That's right.
have some freedom. Yeah. So my wish for my bucket list for my next 10 years is meet Mark and have some jamming at some kind of rehearsal room or like this.
Oh, we'll make that happen no matter what. No, we'll make that happen because I'll be. I mean, the way the world is moving in terms of like, places that I travel to and how I'm able to like move around the country and move around the world. Like I said, I've been to Berlin twice in the last 3 years,
Mm,
which you know what I mean. So we'll just make that happen. I actually take a funny thing. I take a travel practice guitar with me now whenever I go on a trip,
yeah.
so
Okay.
that way I can always practice no matter where I am because I don't know. Guitar, okay, I can tell you where the practice thing with the guitar thing comes from. The reason I'm so like passionate about it now is because I think that early on when I was first playing, I got pretty good quickly, but then I artificially imposed a limit on myself
Hmm.
because I knew that getting to the next level of guitar to go from good to great required a sacrifice that I wasn't willing to pay.
Hmm.
You see, I wasn't willing to pay because I was like, I'm good enough. I'm better than the average person.
Okay.
That's good enough. And now, as I'm in my 40s, I'm like, that was a mistake in a way for me to not push harder to see how far I could go. It was fear, right? It
Hmm.
was fear that I couldn't do it. So I was like, you know what? I'm just not going to push. This is good enough. I can play chords. I can play a lead if I need to. I can play in the band. Like, this is good. But like now, finally, I'm like pushing myself past that limit. So that's why guitar is so important right now for me, is because it's representing me pushing myself even past my self-imposed limits.
I I start smiling and laughing because I'm almost exactly the same point. I started playing bass when I was 19, I guess, like this. Um, so it's about 25 years ago, and this year's this year in I have to check my calendar in May. I took my very first class in bass because I was exactly at the same point. I was okay. I I know some stuff. I have some skills, but I can't see any movement in any direction over the last few years, and I was okay. What can I do? So I called a friend, which is a professional bass player. He's doing shows and production, and his list with people he worked with is amazing, like Peter Gabriel, Streisand, and so on, and so on, and Lisa Stansfield, such names, and oh, how is she called? Lady Gaga, and so on. These people he's working with, and I asked him, hey, can you give me some bass lessons? And he was, yeah, we can. So I started taking bass lessons in May, and after the summer break, I will go on and hopefully will involve my playing skills and getting better in this. Maybe.
Yeah, no, our stories are we have a lot in common.
Yeah.
So last year I was on TikTok
Okay.
and I saw some kid, and I call him a kid. I mean, because he's younger than we are, Dave. I'll
Okay.
be honest with you, but he's an adult, But I call him a kid because he's so young. He's probably like his like early 20s or something, and he's like he is doing these guitar videos on TikTok,
Okay.
and I just DM'd him. I said, hey, I've been playing for almost 20 years, blah blah blah. I want to get better, and I was like, do you do lessons? And then he's like, yeah, I'll do some lessons. And I'm like, all right. But then he had me starting from the beginning again, where
Mm-hmm.
things that I felt like I already knew. And then he's like, yeah, so, I want to look, you hired me. You know what I mean? Like, you hired me to come and help you. So I can help you, but, it's going to require this process. And I
Mm-hmm.
had to humble myself, become much more humble because I felt like, listen, I've already recorded a music album before. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
I know how to play guitar, but he was having me do like very basic uh like finger exercises to correct myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
it's just like, yeah, okay. I will do these hard things that I don't want to do, that my pride does not want me to do, but I'm going to do them because I want to be better.
So what I just learned is, I hope you can see it in the camera. Oh no,
Oh, hold it in front of your shirt. Yeah, okay, I can see that. Uh-huh.
it's just
Yes, yes, yes. Uh-huh.
the how it's called, the scales.
Yep.
Scales like Ionic, Diodorian,
Mm-hmm.
Lydian, Mixolydian.
Phrygian,
Yeah, all this stuff.
Locrian, yeah.
This is
Mm-hmm.
something I've never learned because I never had to, and my
Never had
bass
to.
teacher said, "We need to learn it because otherwise you are not able to play all the good stuff." And I was,
That's right. That's right. Yeah, see, that's exactly right. Like I never learned scales either. So I never knew, well, it's because yeah, you got like minor, Locrian, Ionian, Phrygian, Dorian. Uh there's another one that I forgot, but
Mixolydian,
Mixolydian. But that's a 6 or 7. I think there's minor,
Aeolian, and
Locrian.
Lycrian, Lycrish.
Locrian and Lydian. I
Yeah,
always
yeah.
get Locrian and Lydian. You got to
Okay.
get both. There are 2 L's in there in that
Mm,
list. But yeah, but just learning those, right? Like, but for you, I love this for you because it also demonstrates that you're the type of person that can be taught. And I think that's a developer experience too, because even though so even as a senior developer, right, you could still learn new things, and opening yourself up to learning new things only makes you better, right? Even if it's a fundamental thing that you've been doing for a long time, and we're like, hey, there's actually more to that story. If you show me that, see, that makes me think that, oh yeah, like this person can do anything, right? When you show that level of like ability, even as a coder. I have a good friend named Simon Lightfoot. He's like, you meet those people who are kind of like a genius and like something, you know what I mean? And you just don't understand how smart, how somebody can be so smart. He's like that. But when it comes to learning something new, like he will go back down to like the fundamentals of it if he has to make sure that he truly understands. And I admire that quality in people when they're able to receive new information, even if they think they're beyond it, and go back and then try to embrace it.
mm. Yes, yeah, if you, so I think if you want to get better, or if you want to improve something you learned, uh, there are some points in the time where you have to just get a clean table and just start rearranging everything, just to check if there are any hidden spots which are empty, which are missing. Otherwise,
Yep.
you are not able to fill these gaps and learn new things. Definitely.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Oh, great. So now I even more excited about to meet you again.
Yeah, well, hopefully I'll be able to play guitar. I'll be actually able to do something next time I
what
see you.
what kind of travel guitar do you have? What is the? I guess you
It's
sent it to me. Is it the
yeah,
is
it's actually
Donor?
called the Traveler.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if I can see it in here. Hold on, let me see if I can grab it real quick.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Exciting. Oh, this is a very small bag.
Yes, very small. So this thing fits in the overhead compartment
Okay.
on airplanes.
Okay.
So you don't have to worry about like, or you can actually fit it under your seat. So this is not very big. So if I put it like, in scope, you see that's not very wide.
Mm.
But this is like a full, like this one's an acoustic. I meant to get the electric one, but it's good enough. And you also can get like a little it has a leg rest that you
Okay.
can connect right here. So that's what these two holes are
Yeah.
for, is for a
Okay.
leg rest. But yeah, this is a whole guitar. Yeah, you can just play it, and then I'm usually just like, oh, you can't see because the microphone's away. But like anyway, but like you can just like get all your stuff going, and like even on an airplane, you can play this because it doesn't make any noise,
Yeah.
or it makes very little noise. So if you had like a long flight like I had coming from the US, like I could just literally do this, or I was like sitting in the airport terminal and I was just like playing and just like, because I was sitting there with nothing to do. So, and I was just running on my, all my scales and stuff like that. But this little thing, it wasn't that cheap. It was it cost me more than I expected. I think it was like $300,
Okay.
which you can get a decent like real guitar for $300 if you
Yeah.
really wanted to. But you're not going to get something that fits with your carry-on luggage,
Yeah.
if you're traveling,
You don't
which is
get
why I
something.
got
It's because this is more or less just the size of the neck
right.
of yeah. That's great.
Yeah, no, this thing is great. This is a good purchase. It's a good purchase. I recommend that. Like, if you're a person, so when I travel, usually for work, I'm usually gone for maybe 3 to 4 days, and
Okay.
so as a person who's been practicing even more rigorously lately, losing 4 days of practice can be quite detrimental, actually, towards your progress.
Mhm.
Especially if you're traveling frequently. I travel pretty frequently, so I'm not saying you can't take a week off, but I'm like, if you're taking a week off every other week because you're traveling, then you're not going to make the progress that you want. You're going to slow down, and I just didn't
Mhm.
want to slow down.
Yeah.
So I was fortunate enough to be able to find this guitar, and like I said, I take it with me on the road, and I brought it to Germany. Actually, it was with me in Berlin, with no problem. You see, it was no problem at all.
Stefan at Steph said, if you have issues during your travel, you can use it to play something, just
Yeah,
to make, I guess, just to make the people are waiting with you for your flight relax or
that's
make
right. That's
make
right.
some money by sitting on the floor and making music and put your head on it. Maybe.
That's right. That's right. I need some lunch. Let me get my hat on the floor and just start like, I'm taking requests. I'll play Wonderwall. Everybody loves that song.
So I when I was about 17 or 16, I was dropped out from home and I was in
Hmm.
Cologne and I was I saw some punks at the street and one of them played guitar and he was very struggling with all the chords and he was very, I saw it in his face, he was very painful for him to play. And so
Hmm.
I was, hey, should I support? I can. And they, oh yeah, we want to play this and this song. I know them, and so I played with them. And so this was the first time I was doing music on the street. This was very funny.
Oh man. What was that experience like having to be on the street like playing music for the first time?
um, I For me it felt okay. I didn't have any issues with it. Didn't have any fear. I always have been a people, a very extroverted people, or a person. So it felt good. Um, Sometimes it felt so. I guess I planned. It's a long time ago. I was 16, so it's more or less in a whole life back then. And maybe I blended out all the people who are passing by and just focus on the people, on the 2 or 3 punks sitting next to me and singing. And I guess one was using a bucket as a drum set,
Mm-hmm.
and the other two have been singing. And we are sitting in Cologne in front of the big church of the Dome of Cologne, and
Mm-hmm.
we played there for I guess 1 hour until the police came and said we have to leave.
And this said you had to go. Okay, that's enough. That's enough, Dave. Get out of here. You get out of here.
Yeah, it was very funny experience, and I kept the guy gave me his plectron, and
Hmm.
I kept it until I guess I still have it. I just was okay. This is something very special to me. There's nothing worthy, but it's just okay. It was the
Sure.
first time, and this was a very hard time for me also. And so this is something which reminds me to this situation that okay, I made it through it, and now I'm living in a house I rented, and yeah, so I'm not on the street anymore. So yeah, this is
Right. That's right.
something which reminds me that things can turn around and um, turn totally good instead of getting worse.
Ooh, that's a word right there, brother. That things can turn around. That's right. That's right. I like that energy. See, you're a very positive person as well. I got the same vibe from you when we met in person that you are a positive person with a good attitude, which is why it is great to be on stream with you.
Thank you, thank you for this. I really love it. So I have to scroll through my list of questions I know that must for me. I have a list of.
Sure.
Okay.
No, that's great.
Um, when uh, can you remember the very first time when you started programming and had the very first application running? Can you describe how it felt when you heard? I don't talk about the first Hello World stuff like this. So, but the first maybe UI or first server application, which then did stuff you just created or programmed.
I can tell you about my first. I can remember my first almost hobby project
Okay.
that I did around the time. So, because I started programming so young. The one that I do remember that like stood out to me was, in the casino, you have the slot machine. You pull the arm, and it rolls.
Yeah.
I was probably 16 when I made my first version of that,
Okay.
and I did it in QBasic. And I remember, like, to learn, I had this like book, this thick book that my high school teacher around grade 10 or grade 11, she gave me this book to go home and try these things with. And I remember just the first time I didn't understand like any of like graphics programming at that point. So
Mm.
I just drew all the lines of the machine, and I didn't understand the idea of a buffer. You know how you have double buffering where you like draw the picture, then draw the next one in the next buffer, you keep swapping. I didn't know any of these techniques, which is what they do now in game. Well, that's what they did in games at the time. This like buffering thing. So the graphics were writing over each other,
Mm.
but they were still remaining artifacts of the previous screen because I didn't think to clear the screen.
Okay.
And so that was the first time. So then as the icons were rolling for the three icons are rolling, you could still see a picture of the like cherry when the 7 was up. And then eventually I figured out to clear the screen before each write, before I drew. But then that created another problem. It created a flicker,
Okay. Yeah.
right? Because I was clearing the whole screen. But that's I said I didn't know about double buffering at that time. And so, but I still remember that feeling of like I made this,
Mm.
right? I made it on my own, and I made it like I didn't really have any help because there just wasn't when I was 17 or 16, there was no help back then. Like you bought MDN, like library, you bought the CDs if you could afford it, because documentation was not free back then. Sorry,
Mm.
friends at home, if you think that like, oh, documentation should be always free. It was not always free. So if you're using these tools, you just have to buy it all. And I just was so proud of myself. I was so proud of myself for that game. And yeah, it was a good time.
A few years ago, my second son had to do an internship from school, and he he chose uh, um, a company, and this was after the pandemic, and the day it should start on Monday, and on I guess on Thursday or Friday they called and said, hey, everyone went sick, we have to close down. And he was,
Mhm.
damn, what's now? Because he had to do this internship, and so he said, Dad, I have a problem. And I was, okay, wait, I can just call to some person and say, hey, I have my son this problem. Can you have him as an intern for just 2 weeks or 3 weeks, was it? Just to do something. And I was, hey, and I got the offer of I guess 3 or 4 companies, and he chose then a company called Adesso, which are doing development and consulting and so on. And
Mm-hmm.
then he was there, and he got he got the real the person who was responsible for him made up a complete project for him. So he had to plan it, to design it, and then code it. So he has no idea of coding, no experience at all. So he had to come up with everything by himself. Asked for sure people or ask me, and then he came up to me and said, "Oh, Dad, I have a problem. I wrote this application in uh, not Flutter, in for Android phones. How is it called?
And not React Native.
Um,
No.
native this stuff which was he I don't know what it was, but he wrote just a calculator, just basics. So
Oh, sure,
and
sure, sure.
but again, like, and he said, I can't test it on my phone. So can you help me? I got a problem. And I was, okay, yeah. And I was around there. So I was in next to the company. I had the a, appointment in the next door. Well, like, yeah, I tell, okay, I come by. So I came by, and he was, oh, can you show me? I was looking at the IDE, and it says many issues. And I was, hey, did you took a look on the issues? No, what is this? And we have to read it. And it says, oh, there is a problem. There is no device found. Okay. Have you connected to your device? And so we, step by step, we hunted this bug to just,
Mm-hmm.
was just deployment. Um, and then at the end, he was able to connect the phone, and he was able to deploy it. And when he first time he started the application, it was just a very shitty looking calculator. Just it
Mm-hmm.
was not nice. It was, but it was working, and he was
Mm-hmm.
jumping up and was, yes. And I was, oh yeah, this is great. This is great.
That moment, yes, I
Yeah,
did it. It works,
yeah.
Dad. I did it.
And he was immediately started testing. Okay, 1+1. Okay, 2. Oh, great. He was. I guess he must been at this time. He must been 14 like this. So, and it
Oh,
was
that's
was
great.
was nice to see the excitement in his face when he the first time he deployed it, and when he then started it on his phone and see, oh, this I made this. And I was, yes, great. Keep this.
That's right. That's right. That's fantastic.
Yeah, funny. So I can't remember, really can't remember when I started programming. I can remember when I did my first project and just doing stuff with it, but I can't remember how I felt like this, or how I
Mhm.
felt when I was in this situation. But every time when think about starting programming, I think, okay, maybe I felt like my son in this situation.
Yeah.
I hope this was.
Of course, I mean that first, print line or see out with your name,
Mm,
on the screen like everybody used to do. I used to do that loop, the infinite loop of like print out my name, like it just loops. That's a good thing. Dave, I have time for one more question, and then I got to jump.
yeah,
Um,
I'm totally happy that you stayed so long. I was
sure,
okay.
sure.
I really loved it. Okay, one last question. So I have to
Sure.
pick it wisely. Okay, this one is good. Um, if you could um, decide what kind of new feature you get into Angular,
Hmm.
which one was it?
If I could choose, it would be advanced HMR that kept state. That's what I
Okay.
would choose right now if I could choose any new feature. Because everything else we already have on the pipeline, like zoneless was a big thing.
Hmm.
We already got experimental and zoneless. Material 3 support, we got experience. We got actually that's landed as stable. Deferred reviews, the new syntax where we're not relying on some of those like directives like ngf or ng4 anymore. You know what I mean? Like there's so many like things that we've done
Hmm.
that the thing that I think is just missing is that HMR experience where the HMR is, fully, robust. If I could choose, that would be the feature. It's like a really robust HMR experience.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah, it's great. Great.
Hmm. I know it
Nice.
sounds simple compared to like
No.
some of our other groundbreaking features, but I just think if we want to like have a world class developer experience, that refresh cycle is super important, especially when you're just starting out and you want to get some experience with Angular. Like having that really nice refresh cycle would be just so nice. It'll just be so good for people. So that would be my pick. Thinking about the like newer developers coming into Angular and what they could benefit from.
Mm. Okay, nice. So,
Yeah.
thank you for being at my show.
Thanks for
I
having me. It's been a
totally
blast. I've
enjoyed it.
loved our conversation.
I totally enjoyed it. Just to have a chat about stuff, about
Yeah.
life and about Mark. Yeah, and maybe get the community more known. Who is Mark? This is my challenge for this stream.
Well,
Um,
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. It's been a fantastic time talking with you and just getting to know you better. And yeah, it's been great.
yeah, thank you. If you're okay with, I would upload this stream capture to YouTube. I don't do
Sure.
any cutting. I don't cut because I don't enjoy it. I just take my I take my stream and just upload it on my YouTube channel just to have it because it's a live stream. And
Sure.
yeah, okay, thank you. And
No,
then
upload it. It's totally fine.
I hope how what time it is at your place?
So it's 2:30 p.m.
Okay,
So not too late, but I know it's later for you than it is for me. It's like
yeah,
what,
it's
7:30?
9 p.m.
9:30. Oh man, yeah, get some rest anyway. So hope you have a good rest of your stream. Thank you for inviting me and invite me again. I'll come back.
I will definitely do it. I'm looking
Okay.
forward to this.
Sounds good.
And
It's been a
thank you.
pleasure. Everyone watching at home, thank you so much for hanging out with us today. And I'll see you all the next time. All right. Bye for now.
Have a good time. Wow. Oh wow. äh, ja, jetzt kann ich auch wieder zurück auf Deutsch sprechen. Deutsch wechseln. Kriege ich das noch hin? Ja. Es war auf jeden Fall ein sehr, sehr cooler Stream mit einem unfassbar coolen Menschen. Ich hoffe, es kam rüber, warum ich so begeistert von ihm bin. Ich hatte ihn ja in Berlin jetzt vor 2 Wochen einmal persönlich endlich mal kennengelernt und ich fand es einfach nur cool, wie er ist. Und deswegen, genau, ich habe es gerade. Moment. Oh, in case if we have any English speaking viewers still on stream, thank you for being here. I hope you understand why I was so excited to have Mark on stream because I really love his personality and I really love the way he behaves and the way his mindset and yeah, this is was a very huge thing for me and I really appreciate that he was on my stream. I hope you had a nice time also. I hope you maybe learned something about Mark and or just had a good time. Yeah? Maybe this is also a good thing just to have Mark and Dave chatting beside your whatever you're doing. So just a podcast like conversation. I didn't. I haven't had plans for doing coding like this because I just wanted to make sure to get him get him known and how know how he and more about him, and I want you to get more about him, and this was my goal, and I hope it worked. Yeah, if I have to check my before I say something. I have to check my my schedule next week. Next week, yeah, next week. Where's my calendar? There's my calendar. Next week, I'm yeah, I should be here. Okay, okay. Um, my camera just went off. Why? Okay, wait. So but you can still see me. Let me just check this one and go back to this one. Okay. Ah, strange. Sometimes my camera is a problem. Right before the stream, my Mac just crashed. It was very strange. Okay. Thank you for being with me. I hope you had a good time. Next week, there's no topic yet for this stream, so I will have it. Yeah, I will check what kind of topic. Maybe because this is the already the holiday season, or the summer holidays start in Germany, and or in Hamburg at least. So let me check. Maybe I will do some very funny stuff there. Maybe we can. Oh, wait. I will just think about what kind of topic I will do next week. For today, I don't want to think about it. I really loved it. Maybe I will have a stream with the Vue people because of the Vue.js conference. Because I've already also I still have a ticket to give away. So maybe this will happen, but I'm not sure. And there's a very important thing I want to remind you. There is still the let me just open the website. There's still this thing going on, NGDE, where you can use. I guess it's here. Yeah, there's still this challenge that you send in designs for shirts. We because some people are asking for this, we extended it until the July 30th, and until then we will then check for shirts or for designs, and if you win, then you get a free shirt, and everyone else will then wear your shirt. This would be nice. And yeah, this is something we are still looking for, people sending in designs on to just to catch the Angular people here on the stream. The Vue people have sent in more designs, so maybe we should make a challenge here. We want to have the same number of designs, so send in some designs for this. Okay. So I will now close down. I'm tired, and I'm really happy about this stream. Hope you enjoyed it also. Have a nice week. Have a nice evening. Good rest, and see you next week. If you want next week, it will be in German, I guess. So German is my native language, so my streams will be in German, and so next week I will just show some stuff. Maybe we will just if you have any topics, then just mention it, send it to me, and yeah, Wash Benzin, Stefan at Dev Radio Signal, Wer war noch? Monkey.js, Mona at Mona Code Lisa, all the people. Thanks for being with me. Easy Ping, thanks for being with me. And I would love to meet you in October in Bonn. Oh, if I'm in Berlin, I will move. I will go to Berlin tomorrow, and I will be there until Thursday evening or afternoon. So if you have any time or want to meet, then ping me, and we can have a chat or some drink. And yeah, on Wednesday I'm totally full. There are plans, and with so I'm not free, but tomorrow and on Thursday, so we can arrange something. Thanks for being with me, and have a good night, and see you next week, Monday, 8 p.m.